Have you ever felt disconnected from yourself? Like something's missing, but you can't quite explain what? Maybe you grew up in a family without major fights, without obvious trauma, without screaming, and yet today you carry this emptiness that's hard to describe. What if I told you that sometimes what hurts the most isn't what happened, but what never happened? The comfort that never came, the conversations that never existed, the emotional support you needed but never received. Today, we're going to explore 7 subtle ways emotional neglect from childhood shapes your adult life without you even realizing it. And no, this doesn't mean you're weak or ungrateful. It means you're human. And understanding this might be the first step to breaking free from cycles of self-doubt, anxiety, and emotional disconnection. So take a deep breath and stay with me until the end. First, it's important to know that emotional neglect isn't about what was done to you, but about what was missing. It's growing up in an environment where your emotional needs were unseen, invalidated, or ignored. It doesn't always mean toxic or abusive parents. Sometimes it's parents who were overwhelmed, emotionally immature, or simply didn't know how to handle emotions. The problem? A child learns not to feel, not to notice, and not to need. But those unmet needs don't just disappear. They turn into invisible patterns you carry into adulthood. Let's begin. The first sign: you struggle to recognize your own emotions. When someone asks, "How are you feeling?" your mind goes blank. Or you give surface-level answers like, "I'm fine," or "I'm tired," without really knowing what's going on inside. Growing up without emotional validation disconnects you from yourself. You learn to function, but not to feel. The second sign: you often feel disconnected from your life. It's like you're living on autopilot. You go through the motions, work, study, take care of others, but inside, there's this persistent emptiness, a feeling that something's always missing. And no, this isn't laziness or lack of motivation. It's what happens when you never learned how to emotionally nurture yourself. The third sign: you have fragile self-esteem, even though you're highly capable. You get things done, you're good at what you do, people compliment you. But deep down, it never feels like enough. You constantly feel like you could have done more, or that someone's going to realize you're not as competent as you seem. This isn't about your abilities. It's about never feeling emotionally seen or affirmed as a child. The fourth sign: you struggle to trust others or open up. You might be the one who supports everyone, listens to everyone. But when it comes to sharing about yourself, you freeze. You worry about being judged, misunderstood, or maybe you just don't even know how to talk about your own feelings. This often stems from never having felt truly heard. The fifth sign: you pressure yourself to always be strong and independent. The idea of needing someone else makes you uncomfortable. You've learned that relying on others feels wrong, so you carry everything alone. But deep down, you're exhausted because being strong all the time is draining. And a lot of this strength doesn't come from confidence. It comes from fear of being a burden. The sixth sign: you have an intense fear of criticism and rejection. Any negative feedback, no matter how small, hits way harder than it should. A comment at work, a text left unread, a weird look, and suddenly your mind spirals into stories about how you failed, disappointed, or just aren't good enough. This often comes from a childhood where you never felt safe simply being yourself. And the seventh sign: you constantly seek external validation. You need others to reassure you that you're okay. A compliment feels like oxygen. But when it's not there, your self-worth collapses. Because somewhere along the way, you learned that your value depends on what others think of you, not on how you feel about yourself. If you recognize yourself in any of these, breathe. This does not define you. It's not a flaw. These are survival patterns your mind developed to protect you. But now, as an adult, you get to decide whether to keep surviving or start healing. The first step, awareness. Naming it. Understanding that the absence of emotional care leaves wounds too. And those wounds can be healed through self-awareness, self-compassion, and if possible, therapy. So let's recap. The first sign, struggling to recognize your emotions. The second sign, feeling disconnected from your life. The third sign, fragile self-esteem despite being capable. The fourth sign, difficulty trusting others and opening up. The fifth sign, belief that you always have to be strong. The sixth sign, intense fear of criticism and rejection. And the seventh sign, relying on external validation to feel worthy. The good news is, none of this is permanent. The moment you notice, you're no longer trapped in the cycle. So now tell me, which one of these signs hit you the hardest today? Drop it in the comments. Let's build a community together, one that's centered on healing, awareness, and self-compassion. If this video resonated with you, hit like, share it with someone who needs this, and subscribe to the channel. Because here, your mind matters, your story matters, and you matter.